Welcome back to KO Your Brand, Pulling Punches, the podcast for fame-ready entrepreneurs. And today I am digging into a short, actionable strategy for you to start leveraging public relations opportunities on your website. Okay, so this question came in from one of my followers, Jody Brown. Shout out Jody. She is an amazing beauty educator. She also has a podcast called Visionary Rising that I have actually just guested on. So once that episode comes out, I'll be sure to include it in the show notes. You can listen to Jody and I have a conversation all about public relations. And we talked a lot about speaking gigs in particular on that one. So you'll want to check it out. But today on Pulling Punches, I want to discuss the top 3 things that you need to do to leverage public relations opportunities on your website. Your website. You have one of those, right? That's a longer conversation for a longer form episode, I believe. But you need to have a website for your personal brand. You need to have one as soon as possible, honestly. If you start to grow a following on social media, you want people to take your business seriously, you want to get booked for bigger and better speaking opportunities, you want bigger and better public relations opportunities, you got to have a website. And it's got to be up to date, and it's got to be a proper reflection of your brand. Because when you start securing public relations opportunities, you need to have a place to put them all. Yes, you need to put your PR opportunities somewhere once you get them. That's how you leverage them to build your brand authority. Oftentimes business owners think that, okay, I've done the podcast interview or I've been mentioned in the media, I'm doing an upcoming speaking gig, and that's where it stops. No, that's where it begins. That is when you need to then take that content and actually use it to build your brand authority. Because if you don't do anything with those media opportunities, they're not going to do anything for you. So today I'm keeping it niche and specific. The 3 things that you need to do on your website when you start securing public relations opportunities. Okay, so the first thing is short and sweet. You know that as seen in banner that people often have on their website when they're like a larger public figure, or maybe there's someone that secures a lot of media features. As soon as you have 3 pieces of media under your belt, start that banner. And don't come to me with like, but I haven't been featured in Forbes yet. Or like, I've only been featured in local media. Okay, put it on there. Local media is still a big deal to your local community. We think that if we start doing PR, we're just, entitled to larger publications like Forbes or Vogue or whatever it is, national media. But sometimes it's starting with the local publications that are willing to feature you, and that's still a big fucking deal. So get that as seen in banner up on your website so people can start to see where you have been featured and why you're an authority in your local community. I always talk about becoming a local celebrity first, a celebrity in your own backyard, and that's how it starts. So if you're not creating authority with that little as seen in banner that is a visual cue to people that you are an expert, you're missing a major opportunity. And waiting until you have like more highly coveted logos, well, you're going to be waiting a long fucking time, because journalists that write for those larger and larger publications want to know that you're an authority in your space. And so it starts by showing that you've worked with like local media or smaller outlets first. Okay, we got to walk before we run. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, I want you to start running a blog on your website that includes every single media feature you've ever done. So every time I go on a podcast, I'm featured in an article, I write a short blog post. This isn't like an SEO blog post, by the way, where you do like a whole article. This is just a blog post that says Katrina has been featured in this podcast. We talk about X, Y, and Z, and then we link to that podcast. When you are doing this, you are, first of all, nurturing the relationship that you have with whatever podcast or journalist or collaborator was willing to write about you or interview you. A lot of the time, people think that once the podcast interview is done, their work is done, and it's simply not true. If you want to continue to be an ally, a proper connection for that podcast host that you just worked with on their podcast, please be logging all of these podcast interviews somewhere. Please share that link on your website. Please promote that yourself. So I really just run it like I have this part of my website. It's called editorial, and it's blog posts written by me and my team. Plus it's also media features. So that's how we always keep that blog section up to date. Like there's always new posts every single month because I'm either featured in the media or we're writing new blog posts or a mixture of both. And that's what makes our website always look up to date, by the way, because there are so many websites out there that are not up to date. And it's really hard to understand where somebody's at in their career journey if there's nothing to show like the growth or where people are at. So adding those blog posts is a really great way to show that your website is up to date, honestly, if nothing else. And then finally, the third thing I want you to do, especially if you are really trying to do more and more speaking gigs, you need to put a speaker page on your website. So if you sign up for my free Fame Ready challenge, which I will link in the show notes, this challenge gives you an actionable task to build your personal brand every single day over the series of 5 days. One of those daily tasks is actually a checklist for your speaker page. So there are some things that you want to include on your speaker page, which I won't get fully in depth to. Just sign up for the challenge and start completing those tasks to really get into the details. But I'll give you high level thoughts right now. So on your speaker page, you need to include the topics that you speak on. And you are not saying I speak on entrepreneurship, health and wellness, overcoming mental blocks, public relations, personal branding. Fuck no. No. Oh my God. I said it out loud and it just made me so annoyed because this is the biggest thing I see people get wrong all the time. I see people thinking that the more topics they offer to speak on, the better chance they have at getting a speaking engagement, and that couldn't be more wrong. 1 to 2 topics, and they must be similar. So for me, if you go to my speaker page on knockoutdirective.com, you will see that I literally have 2 things. I have a longer keynote and a shorter presentation that can also be done as a workshop. And they both basically teach and educate on the same thing, just different formats for a different type of audience. That is what you should be providing, because if you have a blue ocean personal brand, if you have a strong personal brand, you're not talking about 4 different topics. You're talking about one. And that is one hill I'm willing to have a horrible death on because it's the thing I believe in. It is the thing that has made me a freaking machine at securing opportunities for myself, because I only ever offer one topic: public relations for personal brands. That's fucking it. So if you want to start securing more opportunities for yourself, that is how specific you need to get. On that speaker page too, you also need to include video content of you speaking. If you don't have this from an actual event yet, I highly recommend recording yourself giving a masterclass, or I also include the playlist. I have a Spotify playlist of all of the guest episodes I've ever done. So all of the podcast guesting I've ever done. And so that's also a great way for people to see how you talk, how you speak. I am in the works of putting together my own demo reel for a speaker, which becomes a really crucial part, like a sizzle reel. I'm just in the trenches of collecting all of that content. So over the next couple of months, I'm starting to do bigger and bigger speaking gigs. I will receive all of that video content from these events that I'm doing, professional video content, and that's what's going to allow me to put together a more professional sizzle reel to grow my speaking career. But up until then, there's my podcast playlist where people can listen to me. And I did include one previous event that I did where there's a long form presentation. But the more and more content you can have of you speaking, even on your social media, the better case you make for yourself for future events. And you honestly don't have to, let not having a sizzle reel get in the way of you getting speaking opportunities, because it hasn't affected me, so it's fine. And then also put an as seen and banner on that speaker page too. So for that, just include some logos of previous events that you've spoken at. I always say, like, as soon as you have 3, get that banner up there, because like visually it's balanced, it looks good. It doesn't look like empty or like not enough. So you can start with 3 and then add and grow from there. So that's it for me today. That's pulling punches. Those are the 3 ways to leverage public relations opportunities on your website. If you have a topic you would like me to dive into on a future episode, please just send me a DM at Knockout Directive or at KO Your Brand on Instagram. Download and sign up for the free Fame Ready Challenge. I'll include that in the show notes. That's where you can get access to my full speaker page checklist. And I will see you next week.